Welcome to tutorial 3. This tutorial will cover Weapon FOV. Weapon FOV is an integration with the weapon kit. It is not included in the weapon kit, you have to purchase it separately, but we do recommend trying this out if you are using a first-person view with the weapons. It will drastically improve the quality of the details that you see on the guns. Before we show you how to set it up, we're going to demonstrate why Weapon FOV is different than just using the regular point of view. So this is a prototype where we test some of the weapons, and here I'm just going to pick an AR. You'll notice that as the far end of the gun that's further away from us tapers into a point as it gets away from us. So as we go towards the center of the screen, the details of the gun taper down. And this is natural, this is because of perspective. But if we make our field of view wider, this problem is going to get worse. And it makes the gun look a little bit slim and doesn't have as much weight. The other problem that we have with a basic setup is that longer weapons will clip through objects that are next to us. So if we walk close to a wall or a character, our guns are just going to clip through them. And this is not desirable in first-person view. It breaks the immersion. Now we're going to switch to the same guns but using the Weapon FOV shaders. Now if we already compare the AR from this view to the previous view, you'll notice how much clearer the details are. And that's because the AR is rendered with a much lower FOV, and so the gun is not narrowing down as much because of perspective. Even the details that are towards the muzzle look nice and sharp. And this includes the muzzle effects as well. The other huge benefit that we get is that our weapons will no longer clip with objects that are right next to us. And this is because the weapon is actually transformed in a sense to draw very close to us. Even though it doesn't look like that from our point of view, the weapon is shortened to not overlap and not clip with objects that are right next to us. So now we'll cover how to set this up in the project. And as you can see, we've added the Weapon FOV asset to our project. Once again, this does not come with Weapon Kit. You have to choose to purchase this separately. We're going to go into Weapon Kit, and we need to essentially create Weapon FOV versions of all the materials that are used in Weapon Kit. So we're going to duplicate them, and we're going to modify these copies to use the Weapon FOV shader system. So here I'm just quickly going to rename these duplicates to have FOV in the name. And now we're going to go ahead and plug in a node to the world position offset. And this node comes with Weapon FOV. We can just use this material function, mf_weapon FOV, plug it into position offset. And we're going to repeat the same move for the other 5 materials. Now that we have our Weapon FOV versions of each material, we can set this up on the guns. Now we don't need to go to all the gun blueprints and replace the materials on them. Instead, we provide you a handy function where you can do this easily at runtime. So when we spawn the weapon, we're going to call this method setup weapon FOV materials. And here we're just going to pass in the references to the materials that we've created. So the main material will be weapon master, this will be weapon color master, weapon glass, weapon screens FOV, laser FOV, and bullet FOV. Now the gun is going to go ahead and swap all of its materials with the versions that we've created for Weapon FOV. So if you're comparing this to the previous tutorial, you'll notice that the gun looks quite different. You'll also notice that it's not clipping with anything. But perhaps the positioning is a bit odd, but we can easily change that. Weapon FOV has a material parameter collection that you can easily tweak, and it allows you to sort of position the gun in screen space. And this is handy to fine-tune the view that you want. If you want the FOV effect to be extreme, you can set it very low. If you want it to feel more like a normal perspective, you can set the FOV higher. So now that we've tuned our FOV, the one problem that we have now is that our muzzle flash effects are not quite in sync with the FOV weapon. So you'll notice when I'm firing that the muzzle flash is offset. But we have a method that can easily fix this. So we'll jump back into the blueprints. And here we're going to call a method called Weapon FOV Particle Cheat. So what this does is it's going to reposition the muzzle flashes to be in line with your weapon FOV perspective. Now what we do need is to just copy some of the settings that we're using for weapon FOV into this method. So we copy the FOV itself, any of the other parameters like depth scale, and then the weapon offset that we have. The last thing we need to do is we need to also provide this method with a reference to our camera. It's going to use that reference to figure out where to position the muzzle flash. So if we test now we see that our muzzle flashes are in the correct position. And even if we put a muzzle on here, you can see that with the suppressor, the muzzle flash is adjusted correctly. And we still have our nice foreshortened FOV. This will make a huge difference if you are doing a first-person game. It greatly improves the quality of the details that are visible on the gun, so I would highly recommend it for first-person setups. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let us know on the Discord or on our website.